Across the vast expanse of the Middle East, a region steeped in history and shadowed by conflict, a war rages, a silent, insidious struggle for power and influence. It's a war without formal declarations, a conflict fought in the shadows, away from the glare of international scrutiny. There are no marching armies clashing on open battlefields, no clear lines drawn in the sand. Instead, the weapons of choice are far more subtle, far more insidious. Sabotage, crippling infrastructure and sowing discord, cyber attacks, disrupting economies and stealing vital information, and assassinations, eliminating key figures and spreading fear define a shadow conflict. A war waged in the digital realm and the dark corners of geopolitics. It's one that avoids open battle, preferring the cloak and dagger of covert operations. But make no mistake, this shadow war still bleeds the region, leaving scars that run deep. Iran sits at the center of this complex web, a key player in the region's power dynamics, wielding indirect warfare as its primary tool to challenge the US's influence, Israel's security, and Saudi Arabia's regional ambitions, all while carefully avoiding an all-out war that could engulf the entire region. Explosions at sea targeting vital shipping lanes, drone strikes, precise and deniable, and mysterious fires erupting at strategic facilities are all calculated moves in a high-stakes game of geopolitical chess. A game where plausible deniability is the ultimate shield. The battlefield is everywhere. It's a diffuse and ever-shifting landscape. From Tehran's corridors of power, where decisions are made, to Yemen's deserts, where proxy wars are fought, from cyberspace, where data is the new weapon, to the media, where narratives are shaped and perceptions are managed. Proxy militias fighting battles on behalf of their patrons. Hackers, breaching digital defenses and sowing chaos, and covert operatives, working in the shadows to achieve strategic objectives. All fight for influence, for leverage, for control, not territory, not for physical land grabs, but for the intangible power that shapes the region. In this new era of conflict, victories are measured not in conquered cities or captured ground, but in strategic advantage, in the subtle shifts of geopolitical positioning, not land, not in the traditional sense. The world feels the tremors of this shadow war as this invisible war, fought in the shadows, threatens to destabilize not just the Middle East, but far beyond the region, with global implications that could reshape the world order. Iran's strategic playbook is deeply intertwined with its extensive network of proxy forces. This network serves as a critical instrument in pursuing its regional ambitions and exerting influence far beyond its own borders. These groups form what is known as the Axis of Resistance. This alliance represents a coalition of state and non-state actors united by their opposition to US and Western influence in the Middle East, as well as their animosity towards Israel. These groups, strategically cultivated and supported by Tehran, range from Hezbollah in Lebanon, a powerful paramilitary organization and political party, to the Houthis in Yemen, who have been engaged in a protracted civil war and pose a significant threat to regional stability. They act as Tehran's extended arm, allowing Iran to project power and influence in areas where direct intervention would be too costly or politically sensitive. They are fighting its battles, often engaging in asymmetric warfare, and utilizing tactics that are difficult for conventional militaries to counter. This allows Iran to project power far beyond Iran's borders, creating a sphere of influence that stretches across the Middle East. Hezbollah, with its vast arsenal of rockets and missiles, serves as Iran's primary deterrent against Israel, capable of inflicting significant damage in the event of a conflict. Meanwhile, the Houthis disrupt international shipping lanes and launch attacks against Saudi cities, undermining regional security and stability. Furthermore, Shia militias in Iraq and Syria pose a persistent threat to US forces stationed in the region. These militias also play a crucial role in securing Iran's land corridor to the Mediterranean, facilitating the movement of personnel and resources. This complex web of militias provides Iran with significant leverage, allowing it to exert influence in multiple countries simultaneously. It also allows Iran to embed itself in local politics, shaping events to its advantage. By exploiting existing tensions and conflicts, Iran turns regional instability to its advantage, furthering its own strategic goals. The true complexity of this shadow war lies in the intricate network of relationships and dependencies that Iran has cultivated. It's a game where Iran pulls strings from the shadows, providing support, training, and resources to its proxies. This allows Iran to maintain plausible deniability, rarely stepping into the light and avoiding direct confrontation. Facing Iran is a tense alliance: Israel, the US, and Saudi Arabia. For Israel, Iran's proxies are an existential threat, prompting relentless airstrikes to keep them at bay. The US sees Iran as a destabilizer, countering with sanctions and military presence. Saudi Arabia, locked in a rivalry for regional dominance, faces direct threats from Iranian-backed Houthis. Together, these powers form a bulwark against Iran, but their uneasy cooperation keeps the region in a constant state of high-stakes brinkmanship. The spectre of a nuclear Iran looms over the shadow war. The collapse of the 2015 nuclear deal and Iran's uranium enrichment have brought the region to the edge. The 2023 Hamas attack on Israel, backed by Iran, ignited multiple fronts. Hezbollah clashed with Israel, Houthis targeted shipping, and militias struck US bases. The US responded with airstrikes, risking escalation. The Gaza war exposed the shadow war's true scale as covert conflict erupted into open confrontation. Each move now risks a wider, uncontrollable war. June 2025, a date etched in the annals of a precarious future. The world holds its breath, teetering on the edge of a potential abyss. The Shadow War, a clandestine struggle fought in the shadows, is dangerously close to erupting into a full-blown conflagration. The subtle dance of espionage and covert operations is about to give way to open hostility. The situation is escalating rapidly, threatening to boil over into open conflict. The drums of war are beating louder, signaling a potential descent into chaos. Israel and Hezbollah's clashes along the tense border are becoming increasingly frequent and intense, raising fears of a wider war. These skirmishes threaten to draw in Iran, a major player in the region with significant influence and vested interests. Syria, already ravaged by years of conflict, stands as another potential flashpoint in this volatile mix, and the US, with its long-standing presence and strategic alliances in the Middle East, could be pulled into the vortex. A regional war would devastate the already fragile infrastructure and social fabric of the Middle East. The repercussions would ripple outwards, sending shockwaves through the global economy, triggering a potential recession. Conflict would disrupt vital shipping lanes, choking off the flow of goods and resources across the world. The energy market would be thrown into turmoil, sending energy prices soaring to unprecedented levels. The world's stability hangs precariously in the balance, threatened by the spectre of a wider conflict. The hope for peace rests on the fragile peace that currently exists in the Middle East. The Middle East, a region steeped in history and plagued by conflict, stands at a critical juncture. Nuclear ambitions simmering beneath the surface add another layer of complexity and danger to the equation. Powerful alliances forged over decades could be tested as nations are forced to choose sides, and proxy forces acting as surrogates for larger powers further complicate the already tangled web of allegiances. All of these factors combine to make this a crisis of unprecedented proportions, a crisis with potentially devastating global consequences, impacting every corner of the world. Leaders must find a way to de-escalate the tensions, to pull back from the brink of disaster. They must do so without appearing weak, without sacrificing their national interests. It's a diplomatic tightrope walk, a delicate balancing act between strength and restraint. The alternative is unthinkable, a descent into chaos, a region engulfed in flames. The shadow war has become more than just a background hum. It has become a perilous new normal, a constant state of alert, a world on edge, and the world waits with bated breath, watching and hoping, praying for a peaceful resolution, hoping for peace, yearning for stability, desperate for a return to normalcy, but bracing for disaster, preparing for the worst, knowing that the stakes have never been higher.